Hey up everybody, and welcome back. Alright, you're wondering why I'm sitting next to the C15. That's because this is Monday. I was going to put it on eBay yesterday, and I went through all the hoops you've got to jump through now. I haven't put anything on eBay for a long time, and there seem to be a lot more questions and stuff now. And then I got to this thing about verifying my identity, and I thought to myself, well, I had to use my username and password to get into my account, but they wanted my bank details and a government ID, so I thought, oh bugger that, there's other ways to sell it. So I don't know what's going on with eBay. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but it really annoys me when, say, I'll put something in for the BSA or Royal Enfield, and there's just, it'll say 500 things, and I'll think there can't be 500 things for that. And as you go through, it's people selling, I don't know, handlebar grips, and in the search parameters they put in, and they just list every bike going. So anyway, let's say I wasn't prepared to do that. So I'll put it on Craigslist. There's a British, it's the British Bike Owners Club of Central New York, something like that. I know it's a long name. I'm on their mailing list, so I might let them know, because as you know, I'm not wanting to make a killing on it. I just want to get my money back. So anyway, we'll put that up for sale. Right, so there's a lorry coming. Are you ready for it? There it goes. Obviously you won't be seeing this till next Sunday, and you may have noticed in today, I don't know whether it was in the news in the UK, but there's some heavy flooding up in New York State. Luckily, God, there's another one. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be near us, but also of course I live on top of a hill, so it doesn't matter. Alright, what are we going to do? Well, I had a lot of comments about the rear hub, sort of helpful ideas. So we'll go over it and I'll just show you what's what with that. Dean at Retro Mechanica, is that right, Dean? Anyway, he mentioned a place in the UK that does bits and pieces, performance something. Anyway, I went to their website and they do brake arms for Cubs, front and rear, and they do a curved one, and I didn't go into it too much, but it said they do them different lengths. And also, instead of the square, they do it a 6-pointed start, so it gives you more adjustment. So I might just, if I can get a longer one, I might just get one of those, rather than spending a lot of time making a new one. Alright, what else? I ordered the nut for the front brake to hold the brake plate on, because as I say, I had to order the two little needle roller bearings, one that goes into the kickstart and the other one goes into the case to support the lay shaft. So I thought, while I was doing that, let me check if they had the nut, and they did, and it is 5/8 20 there it listed. So I thought, it's only a few days, I'll order that as well. And I also broke down, because they had the the oil seal holders for the front forks, and they weren't that expensive for a pair of stainless steel ones. Actually, I think it was like $90 for a pair, so I broke down and bought a pair of them. I thought they'd look nicer than painting the other ones. So they'll be here in a few days. So what we're going to do today is we'll make the torque arm, do the mod for that, for the rear brake. I might do that little extension piece to put on the torque thing for the front brake, because obviously I can't make the spacer till I get the nut. And what else? I said I was going to make the mountings for the bash plate, so we may do that. But also what I wanted to do today, because when I was ordering those bearings, I was looking at the exploded diagram of the gearbox, and I thought, I wonder if I've got, because all the bits were in a box, there's a couple of shims and things like that go in there, and a thrust washer that goes on the inside of the lay shaft. I thought, I don't remember seeing all those. So what I'm going to do is lay out all the gearbox bits and a couple of other things, and see if anything else needs ordering, and we'll get them ordered, because we're going to start on the engine. There's literally nothing more that needs doing on sort of side pass. So I still have that loop to put on for the rear mudguard, and I haven't decided whether to get alloy mudguards or plastic mudguards, white plastic ones. I don't know with this, so we'll think about that. Yeah. All right, anyway, let's go and look at the rear hub. Right, there were a couple of major suggestions. Several of you suggested I just tap these to 5/16. But the thing you've got to remember, look, is this. That's 1/4 inch. I wouldn't get a 5/16 head in there. I mean, I might just manage it, but I'd probably have to skim a little bit off the edge of this brake plate. I honestly don't think I could get one in there. Hang on. Alright, let's have a look-see. Hang on, so you can see the numbers. $369, and there's good. $70. So say there's 440. Here's a 5/16. $450. So I would have to skim a little bit off that. I could take 1/10 thou off, but is it worth it? Anyway, so I think really that idea is a non-starter. Another suggestion was to countersink the holes on this side when I put the bolt through. But as you can see, this is almost touching there. I mean, it's 1/16 of an inch, almost exactly, 64 thou. You know, I can't make a countersink there. The head would be out here somewhere, because the nut is going to be bigger, but there's no way I could countersink that. So I'm probably leaning towards the one of 4 through bolts and then 4 helicoils. As I say, it's my bike, so really the thing is just to come up with a suitable way of doing it. I'm not worried about it that much, sort of cosmetically, or somebody else buying the bike and thinking, oh, why the hell did he do this? So anyway, let's see about this torque arm. All right, so set this about where I want it. Now, as I say, those people that Dean mentioned, they do a curved one like that. So that would be fine. It'll fit inside there when it's up flat. So that way, even with a star, if I got a straight one, or if I made one, that's about where I want that to be. To come up to here, go pull that way. So this is about where I want it to be. This is so annoying, you know. It's at an angle like that. It's actually, yeah, I'm as far forward as I can go. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to cut this right there. Okay, and we'll just level that off and maybe put a little piece in to move it this way. So what I'm going to do is cut it there, then we'll put this back in, we'll bolt this bit into there at this forward end, and then we'll make up a little piece to go in between, match it up perfectly. Then I'm not going to bring the welder over here to tack it. I can take it away and clamp it. It'll be in the right spot. And then we'll weld that in, and that's that done. So let me take this out and saw through that. So there it is with our piece cut out. moved this all the way up to there. Look, there's a 1/4 inch spacer in there. I decided not to try and make bends in it. I think it'd be better to be straight. So it's all the way to the back of that, if you like, and this is all the way forward. So that's all the way forward, that's all the way forward. So when the wheel moves backwards, that can move backwards. And then we have, we'll cut, it's 1/8 plate. We'll cut that little piece out, weld that in, we'll round it, it'll look nice. Right, well, there's that done, shaped, blended in. So let's put that on and see how it looks. Alright, I've made up a little spacer because I just actually had a 3/8 nut on the inside before. So now put that in. Come on now, I want you go in. There we go. Phew. Nut on the other side. I won't tighten it up. Slacken that off. And there we go. That'll go. Oh, in fact, it goes further than we need. Alright, so that's perfect. That's that one all didded. Let's go and have a look at the front. Right, well, this one, as you can see, it doesn't go, sort of the slot isn't parallel to the sides of this, it goes at an angle. So I don't want to be cutting too much of this out, so I think what I'm going to do is make a longish piece with the slot in and actually overlap that to keep it nice and strong. So let me make a couple of measurements and cut a piece of cardboard. So I've cut my little bit of cardboard. So that is going to be put, whoops, and welded onto there like that. And then we'll smooth the shape in and it'll all look perfect. Alright, so I've got to take this apart because I've got to bead blast this paint off this so that I can, even if I can, let me mark that and then I can actually score it. I don't want to be putting this wheel on and off and on and off. I've got to get to it. Yeah, I'll do it separately. Alright, I've cut the metal piece out of 1/8 inch. So that's going to go on there like that. And then get welded to that. And that will be a nice, strong, nice, rigid brake torque. So actually I can mark, I never thought I can get to this side. So let me mark it up, take this away. I'll just tack it and try it and then we'll weld it on permanently. Right, so there it is on. And I nearly fell foul of my own instructions. You know, I keep telling you to bolt everything up before you make things. Well, when I actually bolted the caps on so the wheels was in exactly the right spot, I found that this actually needed to go on the inside, not the outside. So there it is, all bronzed on, ready to go. Okay, and I've had a thought. Hold on. While I was working on this brake plate, I noticed that the the cable stop, the thing for the outer cable to go in, for the cable operated brake, it's just riveted on. So I'm thinking what I might do is something similar for the back brake. Make it so much easier than trying to finagle a rod to go around the bottom of the rear suspension unit and all that sort of thing. So I think I'm going to make something like that. What we'll probably do with it is use a button cap screw. Drill this and thread it. Bolt it on that way. And maybe even put a little tack of bronze on just so it doesn't move. I don't know about welding it on because that plate already isn't exactly straight. I'll work on it a bit more, but I certainly don't want to cause it to buckle anymore. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little piece to go across here, with a couple of captive nuts in it, to be the front mount for the bash plate. Because as I said, with the other BSA frames we've done, they're already got a little boss here which is drilled and tapped, but these don't. Alright, because they're tube casting, tube type braze construction, not all welded like the B45s and so on. So let me see if I've got a piece of 1 inch wide 1/8 cold rolled, which is nice and flat, to make that out of. If not, it'll have to wait for later in the week, because Wednesday I'll be going past the steel stockists, so I've got to get a couple of things and I'll get some more of that. Okay, let's see what I've got. Right, well, I've got a fair bit of 1/8 1 inch wide flat, but it's all stainless steel and that's too expensive to use for that. Okay, here's our gearbox bits. I've got the parts book out. That's rollers for the clutch. We don't need to look at them yet. Well, we're going to need to find some more bits, aren't we? There's the thing that goes on there. They come in different thicknesses for the thrust, and that is what goes. That's the lay shaft. This is the main shaft. So that's where the needle roller bearing goes on there. That's in the end of the kickstart pawl. And then this end's got another needle roller bearing on. Oh, and there's the thrust washer. That's the washer. That's the washer that goes up against the see, with the little oil things in, goes up against the bearing, but it doesn't have the little hole in it. I've got to, let's have a look. Oh, sorry about that. Got the parts book here. I've got tons of stuff for this. See, so let me take this bearing off first. Okay. Right, let me get this off. Well, I was just getting this ready to show you me using this bearing puller. And when I tightened that into there, it went bonk. Oh, yes, and off came the bearing. So that was easy. Sure, there should be something in between that and the bearing. Thrust washer. Anyway, we'll go back and look at the parts book. Right, so I Actually, thinking about it, that should have come off that bearing, because don't forget this is the bit that goes into the crankcase half, and the bearing we've got for that is a sealed one. So there's nothing that goes there, but that goes there, and there isn't one on there. So that goes on there like thus, that goes on there like thus. They're all set, and then there's that one. Now it shows number 6. Number 6, spacer. So again, there's a spacer that goes in here. There isn't one in there. So that's to find our free play in that. So there's a spacer there, then that, then that. Okay, and that's it. So that goes in there. So there's that. There's that. There should be a little bush in the end of there. Yep, there is. I'll have to check to see if, does it say how long that is, number 20. Clutch push rod, it doesn't say, but that doesn't look long enough to me. Alright, so what do we got here? That we know about. Again, in there it says number 15, lay shaft circlip. Oh, okay. Now these want a good clean up. They've got some, they've sort of got varnish on from old oil. And yep, where that goes, oh, there it is. 18 thrust washer, yeah, and they come in different thicknesses. Alright, so we need the rod to go through there. Let me see what else I've got laid about. Alright, I pulled out a couple of boxes. There was another main shaft here with the end nut on. I just screwed that off there. That's weird, because I just screwed it off there and it didn't want to screw on here beyond 2 or 3 threads, so I thought, oh well, I'll just use this other main shaft that I just took it off, but now it doesn't want to go on that. Hang on, here's another main shaft. Goes in that one fine. This is in nicer condition as well, actually. Yeah, that looks much nicer than that. Goes to one side. That one to one side. 1, 2, 3, 4 gears. Alright, now I found that I had the quadrant for that, and there's the pin for them. And That has virtually, well, there's no splines on it. Oh, that one has had a repair piece put in it and it's got a spring on it. What else have we got in here? That's a clutch. There's a pin, I've got the pin for that. Oh, kickstart. There's clutch bits. Clips. Okay, I'm going to go through all this. I've got another couple of boxes of stuff for this. Make sure I've got a complete... Oh, I haven't come across another push rod. Hold on. Alright, I'm going to have to sit down and go through all this stuff with the parts book. And that's going to be boring. So, where are we? 10 past 4. Alright, I'm going to spend a little time doing that. And then I'm going to take the Enfield out for a gallop. So, I'll see you tomorrow. Right, well, Thursday morning. I've got a plan. I had a strange Wednesday. I was supposed to have lunch with Steam Shop. I got there, he was closed for 3 days, must have forgotten. Went down to Steel Stockists, they only had half of what I wanted. And then I telephoned, funny enough, the chap's called Kenny Rogers, the local bike breakers, where I hadn't been for a while. It turns out he's dead. So I spoke to his wife, you know, said, oh, can I speak to Kenny? No, he's dead. Oh, sorry. Alright, so this is the plan. We're going to make a piece to fit on here. We'll cut it to shape. We'll drill it and put a couple of captive nuts on and then bronze that on. Then we'll support, I'll put the front wheel back in. I've left it out to give me more space here. Put the front wheel in. We'll put a support under the back. We'll move the box and put the sump plate on because, as you know, on the BSAs, the sump plate sticks down a little bit lower than these tubes, which is why I can never see the point in taking these tubes out. You know, you save a few ounces, but you lose the strength and support, and you lose this engine mounting. So you'd have to make something up. Anyway, so when we've got space under here, we're going to make up the bash plate because they did have some 3/16 alloy. When we've got the bash plate all made so that it comes down, misses that, touches on the back and everything, take the engine out, then we can offer up the bash plate, put a couple of clamps on, and from the inside here I can mark where the captive nuts are. We can drill that, bolt that up, then we'll make the cross piece that's going to be the rear mounting, or the corner pieces for this here, whichever way I decide to do it. The plate will be there so we can make them all up, drill everything, hold it in place. Then we'll put the engine back in, because what I'm going to do, I hadn't realised this because, you know, I'm only a mid-level rider, but Chris riding the Triumph, which had my usual sort of flat plate on, said the plate was too wide, that when he was doing sort of clever things at an angle it stuck out. It needed to follow the angle of the engine more, which is what I did. You know, I did it on the Enfield. I've also done it on the Triumph now. So that's what we're going to do. Instead of, if we need this to be 10 inches wide but the frame's only 8 inches, we're going to make it 8 inches and then we're going to have it come out. So it's a little bit like sort of cornering clearance. It's going to offer, you know, if it was a road bike, it's going to offer the protection up here, but it's not going to offer it by sticking out here so that this is in the way, if you follow me. So let's cut a piece of 1 inch flat for across there. Right, so I'll put the welder on its spot weld function. There's the piece with its 2 captive nuts on. So that's going to go on there. I'm probably going to get in the way here. You notice there, you can see the brass that's being used to put this on. Excuse me a moment. Try and make sure this is reasonably level. Get my foot on this pedal. Helps, Michael, if you put the earth clamp on the job. Alright. Right. I'm going to get a little look at the back of my head now while I put this back in place. I suppose I should measure that really, shouldn't I? I'll put one spot on and then I'll measure it. Come on, Spot. I haven't got that turned up enough. You need to have, I mean this should have probably 1/8 of an inch, so it should have 100 amps just to weld it. And to spot it, the idea is, you give it a blast. But what you can't see is the fact that I'm not working the pedal like that. The pedal just goes all the way down and the machine makes it just spot for a second. Hang on, let me switch you off so I can mark this and I know I'm in the right place. Right, we'll try again. Change the battery as well, so hopefully I haven't slipped up and the one that's in the back in the camera bag is fully charged up. Now then, I mark this. And as it happens, it's 1/2 an inch each, so that wasn't a bad bit of eyeballing. This still isn't, come on, Spot. Huh. Well, we know it's in the right place. Now that one's perfect. That one's spot on. Alright, so let me spot it on the other side, because of course that's pulled it this way slightly. And then I'll bronze it. Alright, so I've bronzed that, both sides. I haven't completely bronzed it because it's a lot easier when the frame's laid on its side. Next thing I'm going to do is put this on with those. You could just about fit Allen bolts on. You probably could get away with an ordinary bolt, but anyway, we'll keep everything as low as we can. And then, as you can see, I've moved the box from under there. When we've got that on, we're going to shape this midsection. Right, I've put the sump on, and I've also put the oil pipes on because I wanted to know the oil pipes stay up inside the frame, but the sump, as you can see there, sticks down, and it sticks down by nearly 3/8 of an inch, and there's a gasket to go on, so it'll be 3/8 of an inch. Now the steel sump guard that would go on the Enduro model and that actually had a little piece on it, a little bit of plate to press up onto this here to hold the sump guard as it came down here. And what was it on? When I did the B50, I welded alloy. I welded about 1/4 of an inch of alloy onto the plate to go up against there. But I've been thinking, I have these. So what I'm going to do, I've put a nut on, you see, is I'm going to drill there, weld the nut to it, and then when that screws in up to there, it will be 5/8. And that'll not only keep it up, but it'll be a little bit of a rubber bumper. So of course, can't get the drill in under here. I'll have to lay this over and pop it to drill these two. So let me do that, and then I'll bring you back, and then we'll put the outer cover on and the chain case cover on, so that I can see how far out we've got to come. Right, so I found that even with a slim nut, it stuck out a bit more than I wanted, you know. I don't want to lose any more ground clearance. So I've actually tapped it, because, oh, by the way, you're going to hear rain, because I've just made sure all the vehicles are in. We're under a sort of heavy storm warning with large hailstones. So anyway, that screws in. So that gives me a little bit extra. It'll be just nice. So I'll drill and tap this side, and then we'll stand everything back up again. So there's the two of them on, and as you can hear, it's absolutely chucking it down. Well, that was really heavy. You wouldn't have been able to hear me speak the last 10 minutes. I filled the pond. Okay, I've put both side covers on now. So, and I've cut the piece of alloy. So that's going to be sort of, there, excuse my head. It's going to be about like that. Of course, it's going to come up there. You know, I think these BSAs need that much to come round. We'll see. Anyway, so what I've got to do now is put a curve in it down to there, and then it wants to sort of curve to here and be flattish, and then go up. And because it's going up, it has to tilt down a little bit at the back to be flat for the other rear mounting. Right, I've started doing the first bend. So what I've done is, you can see all those lines, they were all put on with a square, because as I've mentioned before, if you don't bend it square, then what's going to happen is the corners, one corner's going to be up. So you'll bolt it to there and you'll find you're out here. You know, you'll bolt it there and it's miles out. So I've been slowly bending that first piece, and now because of all these lines, I can look and say, okay, on this line I want to start bending, then that line. So on here, that's going to go up to there like that. The next bend really wants to be this one, just a smallish bend. Right, so now I'll go and bend that one. Right, so we've got it bending round there now. See, it's touching at the back, so we're going to bend it this way. Alright, so a lot of backwards and forwards to the press, and we're about there. That nicely misses everything. It's just on those rubbers. Maybe I'll find a little bit of tweaking tomorrow, and then I don't really see that needs to have any sort of, unless you put it right. I mean, once we cut that there, see, it's not like the Enfield which sticks right out to here, and the Triumphs. I don't know. Think about it, look at it tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Right, so there it is on, and I'll tell you what, this has taken me forever. Do any of you watch Father Ted? Or, I think it was on quite a while ago, Father Ted. Because there was one episode where he was given a car to raffle, and when he gets it home he finds the tiniest little dent in it. So he says, oh, that's nothing, a little tap with a hammer. So then the next scene is him just going tap, 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 tap. And he stands up and the camera pulls back and the entire car looks as if some madman's been at it with a sledgehammer. Well, I sort of got this, you know, like 99%, and I thought, oh, yeah, it just needs a little bit more there. Bump, it was miles out. Oh, so I need to come here. I need to go. Not a good thing. When it's near enough, leave it. Or at least for me, I should. So anyway, I got it all fastened up, marked it, drilled it, so it's bolted there. And I couldn't think how to mount it here. Now, the actual steel ones, the BSA one, has a piece that comes up here on each side, and it mounts on the engine mounting bolt. I thought of doing that, but I want it back here. So then I thought, you know, this is quite thick wall tubing, as you may remember. So here it's, you know, it's like an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a 1/2 inch hole through there in the T of that. So it's not even in the centre of this. So it should be good and strong. Then we're going to slide a little piece of this 1/2 inch with a 1/4 inch hole in, bronze it in, and we're going to tap this to 5/16. And then we can just run a 5/16 bolt up. And what I'm going to do now is drill a 5/16 hole right through, which will give me my holes in the alloy sheet. Then I'll drill it 1/2 inch, put them in, bronze them in, tap them, and that is that done. Then we've got to shape this. It's 20 to 5 on Friday. I thought I'd be all done by now. I've been backwards and forwards. This thing was so bloody annoying. Anyway, so let me get that done. Right, well, drilled my 2 1/2 inch holes. That really is thick. That's almost solid through. God knows what they've done there. I also went round them a little bit with a die grinder, with a carbide bearing, because I want these to be a slightly loose fit, not too loose, but loose enough, because what I'm going to do is put the plate on. I've made up my 2 pieces, put the plate on, bolted at the front, then we'll drop these in and we'll just put a couple of screws in, jack the plate up, we'll have everything in its sort of final tight position, and then I'll bronze these in the top. And then of course when we put the final bolts in, they'll be countersunk ones. So let me get this set up. Okay, plates bolted in tight at the front. I've used the jack to actually take the weight of the whole frame, so it's exactly right. They're in. I've already countersunk them. I've got 2 bolts in from the bottom tight, so that's everything the way it should be. And actually I think I'll weld these because they're so close. I can do an autogenous weld all the way around. Just zoom around with that. And then that's why I made them the holes slightly bigger, you see, so that if there was any misalignment, that'll get taken up. So the bolt is now, when that's welded in, that's exactly the way the bolt's going to go. So even if it's slightly off, it'll line up. So let me get those welded in. That's 2 of them welded in, and then I just had a thought. I thought, oh, this is going to be difficult to fill this top in. I need something, you know, like a little plug. And I thought, it's threaded all the way up. So I'll just do that. A little tack of weld on, so that they're little spot weld. Might be a bit confusing to anybody later on who comes along and says, oh, that's how you take the bash plate off, and they take, well, they wouldn't be able to unscrew them because I'll have some weld on. But so there, that blocks the ends up so water doesn't get in and rust. Okay, let me put the engine back in. Put the engine back in, and I made up a little cardboard template like that, look. So from that I made this. So what I'm going to do now is shape this, and then just as with that I'll put it in there. We'll mark this, cut that to match this edge when this is bent. So I've already annealed this. Now I'm going to use a big piece of round stock to make this radiate sort of in a curve like that. So if the curve is going to start about there, we're going to start and bend that like that. So let me go and put a nice piece of round on this in the vise and just keep going like that with it until we're ready. There's the first piece of bending. You can sort of see the marks where all I did was put that in the vise. I suppose I should have showed you. I had a big piece of solid round and hit it, moved it round like that. So that's now coming round to this shape. So what I'm going to do now is put a little bend in that, little bump there, to make that fit in a bit closer, there, and then we'll bring this end round, bring this end up, make a piece there. So let me go and do, where are we? Basically that wants to be there, and that wants to be bent up that way. Right, shall I show you me bashing it? Yeah, why not? Now then, all I did for this piece was put that in, bang it and move it around. So now look, we want that to be a little bit straighter. Do that like that, and then that wants to be a bit like that. Let's go and try it on the bike. So you see how that's come up there? Alright, we want one straightish there. Actually, I should mark this on the other side, shouldn't I? Alright, let me go and bash this. Now I want to cut this to shape now and do my final bit of fettling to get it exactly right. So since it's really difficult, I've got to mark it on this side to feed it into the bandsaw. So as it's a bit awkward to get in with a pen, I've put some die-chem on, the red, and I got my nifty pointer, which actually, you gave me this, didn't you, Steam Shop? I think so. And this is adjustable, look. So I can pull this out. Whoops, pulled it out too much, past the collet. And now hopefully I'm going to get in front of you for almost for sure. Right, good. So I've got a mark there, which you probably can't see. Let me go and cut that off, and then we'll see about finally fitting this up. I'll give this a really good clean, and then when I've done my last bit of fettling with this, we'll clean this, we'll tack it in place here. I've got the welder down here. Right, I've cut that, moved you around a bit so you can actually see the joint, and I was very pleased to find that all 4 bolts came out easily. Of course, as any of you with trial spikes know, won't take long before when I go to take this skid plate off, it'll be so stressed and bumped that nothing will line up. But anyway, for the moment, they came out nicely. So that is going to go on there like that. Right. So, actually it's really good there. There's a gap here. So we're going to move it in a bit. Actually, I've bent this in too much, so I'm going to straighten that out a bit. I think to fit there better, and I'll ease a little bit off here. So let's see, we'll ease a little bit off here. I mean, not that much, but I want to know from there to about there to drop it in, and that bend there, that one's flattening out a bit. Straightened that out, and I cut a little bit off, and now when I've done that, actually what I need is to take a piece off here, not there. So we're going to cut that little bit off. So I think this will do. No, it's just there, look. Strange, I thought I had it. Depends on how it, oh, was that it? Yeah. Yeah, if I weld it on like that, that's going to be nice. So let me get this cleaned up and tacked, and then we can take it up and weld it up properly. The gap is nice. Fill that up with alloy and it'll make this all one nice piece of metal. And I've welded it along the bottom a bit, and I've tacked it at the top. So we've got a nice, that's not that big, nice gap there. Actually, in fact, with that case fully on, basically a 1/4 inch gap there. So let me take this off, and I'll weld it up. I'm going to stitch weld it on one side and then stitch weld it on the other side, because I noticed the last, when I did the Triumph one, which was a biggish piece, it had moved things around. It was a bugger to get back on. I had to start redoing things. So that's still quite warm. Let me take this off, and then we'll weld it up properly. We'll round this edge off, and then of course we'll form this, and it'll have a nice big weld on the back, so it'll be really strong. And as I say, with having this gap here, we're going to really fuse metal to metal. It's not like it's glued, it's going to become one complete piece of aluminium alloy. So, still a little bit warm. There's, I say, nice big weld on the inside, and there's the outside, all shaped up. So, hang on, let me move you. Alright, this is going to be the last job for this week. I'll decide what I'm going to do on the other side. It'll be exactly the same sort of procedure. So let us see now. Oh, my Allen key's gone magnetic. If this still bolts on, because as I say, sometimes there is still a bit more. Sometimes these things have a long weld like that. So we'll put it in the back first, because that's the easiest, I think. And obviously the first one goes in easily because there's nothing working against that. Well, there's both back ones have found their hole to be in. Now what I've actually done, because of the way bash plates move around, is I've made the holes at the front in the plate itself, I don't know, 265 thou instead of 250. I've given them, because with this held on well back here with these 5/16ths, and all, you know, if you're hitting something the pressure's going to be that way, then I'd rather have it so that there was a little bit of leeway here. Oh god, look at that, to get these in. Excuse my head once again. This has started to turn on the Allen, on the actual shaft, so okay, it's that tight, that's that tight. Oh, that's still screwing in easily, so everyone's lined up at the back as well for the moment, as I say, until we've done a few trials. There we go. And that's 8th. The quarter still going there, just not quite, so it's moved up a little bit. 8th, there's 3/16. So yeah, I don't know how much extra protection it gives you. I suppose it does. If if you've got something going this way, it's going to glance off it. It's going to push the bike that way away from it. Same as the bottom. So, well, I'll maybe do something similar on the other side. It's not that difficult to do. And take it from there. Right, next week we're going to start on the engine. I've got some bits ordered. Well, I've got that nut for the front wheel. So when that comes, we'll make up the last spacing piece for the front wheel, and we'll dismantle the front wheel, paint the hubs actually. But we have to do the bush for the gudgeon pin for the new piston, so we're going to take the flywheels off, or take one flywheel off the crank. So anyway, you'll see all that next week. That didn't turn out too badly, all things considered, so till I see you again, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.